Captain Maria had been alone in the deep black for 312 days. Her ship, the Wanderer, was a mining vessel built for long hauls between asteroid fields. She had grown used to the silence, to the hum of the life support systems, and to the endless darkness outside her viewport. What she had not expected was the strange signal that appeared on her console at 0400 hours on day 313. The signal was weak. It pulsed in a pattern that was clearly not natural. Maria sat up in her chair and stared at the screen. She had been drifting through a region of space that humans had barely mapped. No colonies existed out here, no stations, no other ships as far as she knew, yet something was broadcasting. She ran the signal through the ship's computer. The analysis came back strange. The frequency was unlike anything in human databases. The pattern repeated every 47 seconds, a series of tones that rose and fell in a way that seemed almost musical. Maria felt her heart beat faster. In her 20 years of space travel, she had never encountered anything like this. She thought about ignoring it. The Wanderer was not equipped for exploration or first contact. She was a miner, not a diplomat. But the signal kept pulsing, and something in her gut told her that whoever or whatever was sending it needed help. She plotted a course toward the source. The computer estimated it would take 8 hours at full burn. Maria started the engines and settled in for the journey. As the hours passed, Maria found herself unable to sleep. She kept thinking about what she might find. Humans had been traveling through space for almost 2 centuries now. They had found dead worlds and empty moons. They had found traces of ancient civilizations long gone to dust, but they had never found anyone still alive. The universe, as far as humanity knew, was a quiet and lonely place. The signal grew stronger as she approached. Her scanners began to pick up a small object drifting in the void. It was a ship, but not like any ship Maria had ever seen. It was round and smooth, with no visible engines or weapons. The hull was made of something that shimmered like silver in the starlight. It was beautiful and strange and completely alien. Maria brought the Wanderer alongside the vessel and tried to hail it on standard frequencies. There was no response. The distress beacon continued to pulse, but no one answered her calls. She ran a scan and found that the alien ship had minimal power. Life support was failing. If there was anyone alive inside, they would not last much longer. She made her decision quickly. Maria suited up in her EVA gear and cycled through the airlock. The void of space embraced her with its cold silence. She activated her thrusters and crossed the gap between the 2 ships. Up close, the alien vessel was even more impressive. The hull was covered in symbols that Maria could not read. She found what looked like an airlock and pressed her gloved hand against it. To her surprise, it responded to her touch. The door slid open, revealing a dark interior. Maria turned on her helmet lights and stepped inside. The air was thin and cold. Her suit's sensors detected traces of oxygen, but not enough to breathe. She moved forward through narrow corridors that curved and twisted in ways that made no sense to her human mind. The walls were lined with strange devices and panels covered in alien script. She found them in what she guessed was the bridge. 3 beings, small and thin, with pale blue skin and large dark eyes. They were huddled together in a corner, their bodies limp and still. For a moment, Maria thought she was too late. Then one of them moved. The alien lifted its head and looked at her. Its eyes widened in what might have been fear or surprise. It made a sound, a series of clicks and whistles that Maria's translator could not understand. She held up her hands to show she meant no harm. The alien spoke again, and this time Maria's translator caught fragments of meaning. Danger, help, please. Maria did not hesitate. She reached down and carefully lifted the first alien into her arms. It was lighter than she expected, barely heavier than a child. The alien flinched at her touch but did not resist. She carried it back through the corridors and across the void to her ship. It took 3 trips to bring all of them aboard. By the time she was done, Maria was exhausted. Her muscles ached and her lungs burned. But she had done it. 3 aliens now lay on the deck of her cargo hold, alive but barely conscious. Maria sealed the hold and adjusted the life support to pump in more oxygen. She removed her helmet and took a deep breath. Her hands were shaking. She had just made first contact with an alien species. Nothing in her training had prepared her for this. The largest of the 3 aliens opened its eyes and looked at her. It spoke again, and this time the translator had learned enough to give her a rough translation. "What are you?" the alien asked. Maria knelt beside it and tried to smile in a way she hoped was not threatening. "I am human," she said. "My name is Maria. I heard your signal. I came to help." The alien's eyes grew even wider. "Human," it repeated. "From what world?" "Earth," Maria said. "Third planet from our sun, in the Sol system." The alien made a sound that Maria could not interpret. It looked at its companions, then back at her. "Earth," it said. "We know of this world. It is in our records." Maria felt a surge of hope. If these aliens knew of Earth, perhaps they were friendly. Perhaps this was the beginning of something wonderful. But the alien's next words sent a chill down her spine. "Earth is the alien said. "Nothing should survive there. How are you alive?" Maria stared at the alien, trying to understand what it had just said. The word hung in the air between them like a warning. "I do not understand," Maria said. "Earth is my home. Many billions of humans live there." The alien struggled to sit up. Its companions were still unconscious, their breathing shallow but steady. Maria had given them emergency oxygen, and it seemed to be helping. "I am called," the alien said. Its voice was thin and high, like wind through a pipe. "I am a navigator of the collective. My people have traveled the stars for many thousands of years. We have maps of every system in this region of the galaxy." Maria nodded slowly. "And Earth is on your maps?" "Yes," said, "but we marked it as forbidden. The gravity is too strong. The radiation from your sun is deadly. The atmosphere contains oxygen at levels that would poison most species, and the life forms," paused and made a clicking sound. "The life forms on your world are violent beyond understanding. Everything hunts, everything kills. Even the smallest creatures carry venom." Maria thought about this. She thought about the snakes and spiders of Earth, the sharks in the oceans, the wolves and bears, the diseases and storms and earthquakes. To her, these were simply part of life. But to this fragile being before her, they must seem like nightmares. "We survive," Maria said simply. "We adapt, we learn." Looked at her with what might have been awe. "You breathe the poisoned air. You walk under the heavy gravity. You live among the predators, and you are still alive." "Not just alive," Maria said. "We thrive. We have spread across our world. We have built cities and ships and machines, and now we explore the stars." Was silent for a long moment. Then it looked down at its own fragile body. "My people come from a world called the gravity. There is half of what you call normal. The air is thin and mild. There are no predators, no diseases. We evolved in peace. We thought ourselves strong because we built great ships and traveled far, but we are weak, so weak." Maria felt a strange mix of emotions. Pity for this creature that had never known struggle, pride in her own species, and curiosity about what else was out there in the vast universe. "What happened to your ship?" Maria asked. "Why were you sending a distress signal?" Made a sound like a sigh. "We were on a survey mission. We were mapping this region when our engines failed. A small error in the calculations. A part that should not have broken did break. We could not fix it. Our supplies ran low. Our power faded. We sent the beacon hoping someone would hear, but we did not expect anyone to come. This region is empty, abandoned. No one travels here." "I travel here," Maria said. "I am a miner. I collect ore from asteroids and bring it back to human stations." Looked at her with new interest. "You travel alone in this void for how long?" "Almost a year this trip," Maria said. "Sometimes longer." "A year," repeated the word as if it were something impossible. Alone in the dark, with no one to talk to, no one to help if something goes wrong. How do you not go mad? Maria shrugged. I keep busy, I read, I exercise, I watch old movies, and I know that eventually I will return home. That keeps me going. Shook its head slowly. Your kind are strange, strange and frightening. You live on a world that should kill you. You cross the void alone for cycles at a time. You find strangers in the dark and save them without question. It paused. Why did you save us? We are not your people. You do not know us. Maria thought about the question. It was a good one. She had not stopped to think about why she had responded to the beacon. She had just acted. Because you needed help, she said finally. And I could help, that is enough. Stared at her for a long time. Among my people, we would not do this. We would be afraid. We would think it might be a trap. We would calculate the risks and the rewards. We would send a message to our superiors and wait for instructions. By then, it would be too late. Then I am glad you sent your signal in human space, Maria said, even if neither of us knew it. Over the next few hours, the other two aliens slowly recovered. Their names were Kel, and they were smaller than and spoke even less. When they saw Maria, they pressed themselves against the wall and made sounds of fear. Be calm, said to them. This one saved us, she is human. Kel made a high-pitched noise. She will eat us. Maria could not help but laugh. The sound startled all three aliens. I will not eat you, she said. I do not eat sentient beings. I promise you are safe on my ship. Peered at her from behind Kel. Your mouth, it opened. I saw your teeth, so many teeth. Maria realized that her smile must look terrifying to them. She closed her mouth and tried to keep her expression neutral. I apologize. Among my people, showing teeth is a sign of friendship. I forget that others might see it differently. The aliens relaxed slightly, though they still kept their distance. Maria understood. To them, she must seem like a monster from their worst stories, a creature from a world of death, with heavy bones and strong muscles and a mouth full of sharp teeth. She decided to give them time. She showed them to a small storage room that she converted into living quarters. She gave them food, paste, and water. She dimmed the lights because their eyes were sensitive, and she left them alone to rest and talk among themselves. Maria returned to the bridge and sat in her captain's chair. She looked out at the stars and tried to process everything that had happened. First contact, aliens on her ship, a universe that was stranger and more wonderful than she had ever imagined. Her computer beeped. A message was coming in. She accepted it and saw the face of her supervisor back at the mining station. His name was, and he looked tired. He said, "You have been off course for 14 hours. What is going on out there?" Maria took a deep breath. "Sir, you are not going to believe this." Stared at Maria through the screen for a full minute without speaking. She had told him everything. The signal, the alien ship, the three beings she had rescued. He listened without interruption, his face growing more and more pale. He finally said, "Do you understand what you are telling me? This is first contact. This is the biggest thing that has ever happened to our species." "I understand," Maria said, "but I did not have time to wait for permission. They were dying." Rubbed his face with both hands. "I am not saying you did wrong. I am saying that everything changes now, everything. I need to report this up the chain. You need to keep those aliens alive and bring them back here. Can you do that?" Maria nodded. "Their ship is dead. I will have to tow it. That will slow me down." "Then tow it. Whatever technology is on that ship could be worth more than all the ore in this sector. And the aliens themselves. You need to understand. You are probably the most important person in human history right now." Maria did not like the sound of that. She was a miner. She liked simple work. She liked the quiet of space. She did not want to be important. "I will do my best," she said. Ended the call. Maria sat alone on the bridge, feeling the weight of responsibility settle onto her shoulders. She thought about the 3 aliens in her cargo hold. They were counting on her now. The entire human race would soon be counting on her too. She got up and went to check on her guests. When she entered the storage room, she found them huddled together in a corner. They looked up at her with their large, dark eyes. Fear was still there, but also something else. Curiosity, perhaps. "I have contacted my people," Maria said. "They are very excited to meet you. We will travel to our nearest station. It will take many days." Nodded slowly. "We heard your communication. Your language is strange, but our translators are learning. We understand more now." "Good," Maria said. "Is there anything you need? More food, water, different temperature?" "We are well," said. "You have been kind, kinder than we expected from a." Maria sat down on a crate, keeping her distance so she would not frighten them. "Tell me about your people. Tell me about the collective." Seemed pleased by the question. "The collective is an alliance of many species. We have traveled the stars for longer than your kind has existed. We share knowledge and resources. We help each other survive." "How many species?" Maria asked. 47 at last count. Some joined long ago. Some are new. All are welcome as long as they follow the rules of peace." Maria leaned forward. "Could humans join?" Hesitated. "That is not for me to decide, but I must be honest with you, Maria. Many in the collective would fear your kind, are rare. Most do not survive long enough to develop technology. Those that do are often violent. They conquer, they destroy. The collective has fought before. Many died." "We are not like that," Maria said. "Not anymore. We used to fight among ourselves, yes, but we learned, we grew, we came together." "Perhaps," said, "but words are easy, actions are harder. The collective will want proof." Maria understood. Trust had to be earned. She could not blame them for being cautious. Over the following days, Maria towed the alien ship behind the Wanderer as they made their way toward the mining station. The journey was slow, but it gave her time to learn more about her guests. She learned that the collective had been watching Earth for thousands of years. They had seen the dinosaurs rise and fall. They had seen humans emerge from caves and spread across the planet. They had watched with a mix of horror and fascination as humanity built weapons and waged wars. And they had stayed away, believing that humans would destroy themselves before reaching the stars. "We were wrong," admitted one evening. "You did not destroy yourselves. You found a way to survive. You united your world. You built ships that could cross the void. When our scientists learned this, they were amazed. Some were afraid. A species loose among the stars. What would they do?" "We explored," Maria said. "We mined, we built colonies, we kept reaching outward." "You did not invade. You did not conquer." "There was no one to conquer," Maria said. "We found empty worlds, dead worlds. We thought we were alone." Made its clicking sound again. Maria had learned this meant thoughtfulness. Perhaps that was good. If you had found us sooner when you were still young and violent, things might have been different. Maria could not argue with that. She knew human history. She knew what her ancestors had done to each other. The thought of what they might have done to aliens made her uncomfortable. "We have changed," she said. "We are still learning, still growing, but we are better than we were." Kel, who rarely spoke, suddenly looked up. "You saved us. That is proof. You could have ignored our signal. You could have taken our ship and left us to die, but you risked yourself to help strangers. That is not the action of a monster." Maria felt warmth spread through her chest. "Thank you, Kel. That means a lot to me." The smallest of the 3 crept closer to Maria. It reached out one thin hand and touched her arm. Its skin was cool and smooth like silk. "You are warm," said in wonder. "So much heat. How do you not burn?" Maria smiled, careful to keep her lips closed. "My body produces heat to keep me alive. All humans are like this. We are what you might call warm-blooded." "Like a star," said. "You carry a star inside you." Maria had never thought of it that way, but she liked the image. A star inside her, light and heat and life. It made her feel powerful. The days passed slowly. Maria taught the aliens about human culture. She showed them movies and music. She explained art and sports and cooking. They were fascinated by everything, even the things that seemed ordinary to her. In return, they taught her about the collective. They showed her star maps that included hundreds of inhabited worlds. They told her stories of first contacts that had gone well and others that had gone badly. They explained the rules that governed the alliance and the punishments for breaking them. "When we arrive at your station," said one day, "we will need to send a message to the collective. They must know what has happened. They must know that humans are ready." "Ready for what?" Maria asked. "Ready to meet the universe," said, "and for the universe to meet you." The mining station appeared on Maria's scanners after 18 days of travel. It was a rough collection of metal modules connected by tubes and cables, hanging in orbit around a rocky asteroid. To Maria, it looked like home. To the aliens, it looked like something from another reality. "Your people live here?" asked, staring at the viewport. "In the cold void, so far from any world." "Some of us do," Maria said. "We go where the work is, where the resources are. We adapt." Shook its head slowly. "Every day I learn something new about your kind. Every day I am more amazed." Maria guided the wanderer into the station's docking bay. Through the window, she could see a crowd gathering. Word had spread. Everyone wanted to see the aliens. "There will be many people," Maria warned her guests. "They are curious. They mean no harm, but I understand if it frightens you." Kel pressed close to. "So many, in one place. The air will be thick with their breath. The ground will shake with their steps." "It will be okay," Maria said. "I will stay with you. I will not let anyone hurt you." She meant it. Over the 18 days of their journey, these 3 aliens had become more than just passengers. They had become her friends. She would protect them with her life if she had to. The airlock opened. Maria stepped out first, her guests closed behind her. The crowd fell silent. 200 humans stared at 3 small blue aliens. The aliens stared back. Pushed through the crowd. His eyes were wide and his hands were shaking. "You actually did it. They are real." "They are real," Maria confirmed. "This is Kel and they are from the collective. They need to contact their people." Nodded rapidly. "Yes, of course, whatever they need. We have set up quarters for them, clean, safe, private, and our communications team is standing by." Stepped forward. Its movements were slow and careful, as if walking through water. "Thank you for receiving us. We know that our presence must be strange to you. We hope to establish peaceful relations between your kind and the collective." Seemed unsure what to do. He looked at Maria for guidance. She nodded encouragingly. "We welcome you," said. "On behalf of all humanity, we welcome you." It sounded formal and stiff but seemed satisfied. The 3 aliens followed through the station while Maria walked beside them. The crowd parted to let them pass. No one spoke. No one moved. It was like walking through a dream. The quarters they had prepared were small but comfortable. The lights had been dimmed. The temperature had been lowered. Someone had even found soft cushions for the aliens to sit on. "We will need access to your communication systems," said. "We must inform the collective of our situation. They will send a delegation." A delegation looked nervous. "How many, when?" "I cannot say for certain, but they will come. First contact with a new species requires proper protocols. Representatives from the council, scientists, diplomats, perhaps military observers as well." Military glanced at Maria. "Do not worry," said. "They will not attack. The collective does not start wars. The military are only present for protection, for themselves, not against you." Maria understood. The collective was afraid. A species with ships and technology. Of course they would be cautious. Of course they would bring guards. "We will show them there is nothing to fear," Maria said. Looked at her with those dark, unreadable eyes. "I believe you will try. Whether you succeed will depend on what happens next." The communications team set up a link for the aliens, sat before a screen and spoke in its own language, a rapid stream of clicks and whistles that the translator could not follow. Maria watched as data flowed across the screen. Star charts, images, documents in alien script. Hours passed. The entire station was on edge, waiting for news. Finally turned away from the screen. "It is done," said. "The collective has received our report. They are sending a delegation. It will arrive in approximately 30 of your days." 30 days, repeated. "We have 30 days to prepare for the most important meeting in human history." Maria felt the weight of those words. 30 days. It seemed like both too long and too short at the same time. In the days that followed, the station transformed. Messages flew back and forth to Earth and the other human colonies. Governments argued about who should represent humanity. Scientists scrambled to learn everything they could from the aliens. Journalists demanded access. Religious leaders proclaimed miracles or warnings, depending on their beliefs. Through it all, Maria stayed close to her alien friends. She had become their unofficial guardian, their bridge to humanity. When they had questions, they asked her. When they were afraid, she calmed them. When they needed to understand some strange human behavior, she explained. "Your people argue so much," observed one day. "Everyone has a different opinion. Everyone wants to be heard. How do you ever decide anything?" Maria laughed, slowly, very slowly. "But eventually we find common ground. It is messy, but it works." "The collective is different," said. "We value consensus, harmony. Each species has a voice, but we speak together as one." "That sounds peaceful," Maria said, "but also difficult. What if someone disagrees?" "They are convinced or overruled, or in extreme cases removed from the discussion." Maria frowned, removed. Hesitated. "The collective values harmony above all. Those who threaten harmony are problematic. There are facilities where such individuals are rehabilitated, taught to think correctly." Something cold settled in Maria's stomach. "That sounds like prison or brainwashing." Tilted its head. "I do not know these words, but I understand your concern. Perhaps there are imperfections in our system as there are in yours. No civilization is perfect." Maria thought about this for a long time. The collective had seemed like paradise at first, a community of species working together in peace. But the more she learned, the more complicated it became. Harmony enforced by punishment. Consensus achieved through pressure. It was not as different from human history as she had hoped. Still, she did not judge too harshly. Her own species had done worse, much worse. If the collective could learn to accept humanity despite their fears, perhaps humanity could learn to accept the collective despite their flaws. The days counted down. The delegation was coming. The universe was about to change forever. The day the collective delegation arrived, every human on the station gathered at the viewports to watch. A ship emerged from the darkness of space. It was enormous, smooth and silver like the small vessel Maria had found, but 100 times larger. It hung in the void like a second moon, beautiful and terrifying. Maria stood with Kel, and they had become inseparable over the past month. She had learned their ways and they had learned hers. They were no longer just allies. They were friends. "The council ship," said quietly. "I have never seen it in person, only in images. It carries representatives from all 47 member species." "All of them?" Maria felt her heartbeat quicken. "They all came for us." First contact with a species is rare, perhaps once in 1,000 years. Everyone wanted to see for themselves. Smaller vessels detached from the great ship and descended toward the station. Maria watched them approach with a mix of excitement and fear. This was it, the moment that would define humanity's future among the stars. The delegation assembled in the station's largest cargo bay, which had been hastily converted into a meeting hall. Maria stood at the front of the human group, next to and a handful of government officials who had arrived by fast courier from Earth. The aliens entered in groups. Maria struggled to comprehend what she was seeing. Some were tall and thin like people. Others were short and round. Some had fur. Some had scales. Some had no solid form at all, drifting like clouds of colored gas. The diversity was overwhelming. At the head of the delegation walked a being unlike any of the others. It was tall, nearly 3 meters, with gray skin and 4 arms. Its face had no mouth, but its 3 eyes gleamed with intelligence. A device on its chest projected a voice into the air. "I am Coordinator," the being announced. "I speak for the Collective Council. We come in peace, seeking understanding." Stepped forward. His voice shook slightly, but he held himself together. "I am Administrator. I speak for the Human Mining Coalition. We welcome you in peace." 3 eyes moved across the assembled humans. Maria felt its gaze pass over her like a cold wind. "We have read the reports from our rescued citizens." A human female, alone in the void, responded to a distress signal. She risked her own survival to save strangers of another species. "Is this female present?" Maria's mouth went dry. She stepped forward. "I am Maria. I am the one who found them." Studied her for a long moment. "You are smaller than I expected for a—" "I am average for a human female," Maria said. "We come in many sizes." A murmur ran through the alien delegation, raised one of its 4 hands for silence. "The Council has debated for many days. The question before us is simple. Should humanity be invited to join the collective? Many argued against it, are dangerous. Your history is filled with violence. Your world produces creatures of nightmare. Some believe you are a threat that should be contained." Maria felt anger rise in her chest, but she kept her voice calm. "And what do you believe, Coordinator?" His eyes narrowed slightly. "I believe that judgment should be based on actions, not origins. You saved our people when you had nothing to gain. You treated them with kindness when you could have treated them with cruelty. These are not the actions of a monster." Maria felt a spark of hope. "Then you will accept us." "That is not for me alone to decide, but I will speak in your favor." Turned to address the full assembly. "I propose a trial period. Humanity will be granted provisional membership in the collective. They will have access to our knowledge, our trade networks, our protection. In return, they will follow our laws and prove themselves worthy of full acceptance. The trial will last 100 standard cycles. At the end, the council will vote." One of the alien delegates, a being covered in sharp spines, made a harsh sound. "This is madness. They will destroy us." "They could have destroyed us already," replied calmly. "They chose not to. That choice matters." The debate went on for hours. Maria listened as aliens she had never seen argued about her species' fate. Some spoke in favor of humanity, citing Maria's rescue as proof of their potential. Others spoke against, pointing to human wars, human pollution, human destruction. It was strange to hear her own history dissected by beings from other worlds. Finally, a vote was called. Maria held her breath as each delegation recorded their decision. The result appeared on a screen. 31 in favor, 16 against. Humanity was in. Maria felt tears prick at her eyes. She had not realized how much this meant to her until that moment. All her life, she had looked up at the stars and wondered if anyone was out there. Now she knew, and they had accepted her people. Approached her after the vote. Up close, the coordinator was even more imposing. Its 3 eyes looked down at her with an expression she could not read. "Maria," said, "you have changed the course of history. Because of your actions, 2 civilizations will now meet as friends instead of enemies. Do you understand the weight of what you have done?" Maria looked up at the massive alien. "I just did what seemed right. I did not think about changing history. I just saw people who needed help." "That," said, "is exactly why you are remarkable. Among all the species of the collective, there are few who would act as you did. Fewer still who would do so without thought of reward. Perhaps are not what we believed. Perhaps you are something new, something unexpected." "We are just humans," Maria said, "trying to do our best." Made a sound that might have been a laugh. "You are far more than that, Maria. You are a bridge between worlds. The first of many, I hope. The universe will remember your name." Later that night, Maria sat alone on the observation deck. The great collective ship still hung in the darkness outside, a reminder of everything that had changed. Found her there, sitting in silence. "You are troubled," said, settling beside her. "Just overwhelmed," Maria admitted. "Everything happened so fast. A month ago I was just a miner. Now I am part of history." "You were never just a miner," said. "You were always something more. You simply did not know it yet." Maria smiled, careful to keep her lips closed. "What happens now?" "Now everything begins," said. "Your people will learn from us, we will learn from you. There will be difficulties, misunderstandings, conflicts, but also wonders, discoveries, friendships that cross the stars. The universe just became a larger and stranger place for all of us." Maria looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, billions of beings on hundreds of worlds were learning about humanity for the first time. Some feared them, some welcomed them, all were curious. And it had started with her, a simple miner who heard a signal in the dark and chose to answer. "Thank you," Maria said too, "for giving us this chance." "Thank you," replied, "for proving we were wrong to be afraid." They sat together in comfortable silence, watching the stars. Two beings from two worlds, united by chance and choice. Behind them, the future waited, vast and unknown and full of possibility. Maria did not know what tomorrow would bring, but for the first time in her life, she was not afraid of the dark. The universe was no longer empty, and humanity was no longer alone.